of liberty in the fires of hope and prayer, with boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare, side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land. We pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation.
Heavenly Father, we come before you at the start of this new day, giving thanks for life, for health, and the opportunity to serve through this station. We ask for your divine presence to guide us in all we do. Bless this broadcast, that it may be a source of inspiration, joy, and unity to all who tune in. Whether near or far, may our words uplift, our music heal, and our message bring light to those who need it most. We pray for our listeners, wherever they may be. Grant them strength for the day ahead, peace in their hearts, and success in all they put their hands to. Cover those traveling with your protection, and those at home with your comfort and provision. Lord, may everything we do bring honor to you and be a blessing to others. Guide our steps, bless our efforts, and let this station be a vessel of positivity and hope. In your name we pray. Amen.
Your voice, your soundtrack, your station. New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
You should have known you shouldn't mess with me this hour of the night. Oh, your eye get bright, bright. What they calling me? Maybe name is Corbett. Oh, I get that name. Cause I just keep him up. I always keep him up. Cause I just keep him up. I always keep him up. I swear. What they calling me? Maybe name is Corbett. Oh, I get that name. Cause I just keep him up. I always keep him up. Cause I just keep him up. I always keep him up. I got the body to make it get on like an insomnia. You thinking about me, can't sleep until I call you back. I'm on your mind, like all the time. Can't close your eyes, you're only starting the wine. Yeah, oh, take a taste at the right time. I should have known you shouldn't mess with me this hour of the night. Oh, your eye get bright, bright. What they calling me? My nickname is Corbett. Oh, I get that name. Cause I just keep him up. I always keep him up. Cause I just keep him up. I always keep him up. I swear. What they calling me? My nickname is Corbett. Oh, I get that name. Cause I just keep him up.
Wake up, rise up. It's the Net Radio Breakfast Show, bringing you the energy, music, and vibes to start your day right.
What they calling me? And why they calling me? Welcome to your morning coffee. 5 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. Good morning, everybody, wherever you may be on the planet. Trinidad and Tobago, good morning. Neighbors in the Caribbean, good morning. Friends who are streaming all around the globe, good day to you. Welcome to New Era TT Radio, taking you above and beyond. Sir Charles, that is me, and I'm here with you. And of course, with the guys, because this is your Get Up and Go, as we welcome you all to the breakfast show.
Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The breakfast show got the vibes turned on. From Maracas Bay to the Savannah line, let's start the day in Caribbean prime. Oh, good vibes rolling through the air. The breakfast show, energy everywhere. We talk, we laugh, we make you think. Grab your doubles or your morning drink.
Good morning, morning, and welcome to the breakfast show on this Tuesday morning. It seems so far to be a nice day in Trinidad and Tobago. A little overcast, but it's not overcast really. But it looks like it might be a sunny day. Welcome to the breakfast show this morning, and we appreciate you taking the time out to join us this morning. And of course, I want to say a special good morning to all our listeners and viewers across all platforms, across the planet, and of course, also our viewers watching us live on M&E TV on cable stations across Trinidad and Tobago and up the Caribbean. Welcome and good morning to all of you. And of course, a special good morning to my co-hosts, Wendell and Sir Charles.
Good morning, Sir Charles. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And good morning, listeners and viewers all over this wonderful globe of ours. We're here. We're happy to be in the land of the living. Well, I'm yet to have my coffee. I do my coffee at 7 o'clock. But good morning and thanks for joining the absolute best show on radio. And thank you. We're now streaming live all over the place. You have no excuse now not to be looking at us or not to be listening to us. All right?
Yep.
Absolutely. Let me say happy
because we are on M&E TV.
Yeah.
In addition to the simulcast we are doing on YouTube and Facebook, and of course, like and subscribe. You know our goal is to get 100,000 plus subscribers. So we are marching towards that goal. Each step is a further advancement towards it. And of course, we are on M&E TV. And in case you didn't know, let me remind you.
Great news, Caribbean. The Breakfast Show is now on M&E TV, bringing you entertaining conversations, vital information, and influential perspectives throughout Trinidad and Tobago and across the Caribbean region. Catch us on Digicel Channel 20, Flow Channel 111, Amplia Channel 117, Blink Channel 109, Tricode Channel 154, and Airlink Channel 10. The Breakfast Show connects with the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago like never before. We're now on M&E TV.
So now you know.
Yeah, now you know. You have absolutely no excuse. You understand? But it's a nice day outside. It should be a lovely day. Make the best of it, Go and plant, do something. Of course, I don't know if you all have noticed, but the yellow poo is in full bloom on the mountainside.
Yeah.
Just when we thought like the yellow poo not blooming this year, well, guess what? Just before election, it started to bloom. I say, this might be another sign. And so said, so done.
Another sign of what, Wendell?
The yellow poo, Richard.
Yellow was the
yellow.
You know what?
The yellow poo blooms every year.
No,
so
it starts
every year yellow is the code. Is that your sense? Every year
no, but Richard, I am a creature of habit. And the yellow poo definitely started to bloom later this year. I take note.
When the poo blooms. I always had an idea for a movie that I always wanted to set like a 1950s, 60s US movie. Like a romantic, those kind of romantic. If you watch movies from the 50s and 60s, they were very much romantic drama comedies You know, when you had the Audrey Hepburns and stuff like that. And
Most
I
of it
always
came
thought-
out of Georgia or Chicago, eh?
and a lot of them were, you know, from that era, but they had the transatlantic accent. And I always thought a nice one for Trinidad would be When the Pui Blooms. And what happens when the Pui blooms? Because, you know, it signifies, of course, the moving to the rainy season.
Yes.
It's transitional to the rainy season from a Caribbean point of view. So use that as a symbolism for the movie. Here, just give somebody an idea, screenwriter. And that was the song would be When the Pui Blooms.
Right.
You know, those 50s and 60s used to have these opening songs.
Right.
Always thought about that as a child growing up. I don't know why these things stick in my head. But they do.
Why shouldn't they?
Yeah. But the Pui blooming was also used to be a signal. I know for when you were in school, it was a signal to start studying because exams were near.
Right.
And it was the last signal that if you weren't studying by then or revising by then, you were now late. I remember that being something too from school.
Right.
You know?
But exams are about to start, you know, if they haven't started already. But I think they're about to
Usually a
start.
signal, yeah. Before you go into August vacation or summer vacation, whichever one you want to call it.
Yeah. It's also a sign.
It's not that far off, you know.
Yeah.
It's not that far off.
It's also a sign that the rains are about to come because they say April flowers bring May showers. So, which is why I found it strange that the yellow pui didn't start to bloom until very late. The pink pui were all resplendent, but the yellow ones are blooming now. You know, so I know when the pui tree the flowers end, that's when the rains really come. You know, so maybe they're on time. We'll find out. Because June 1st soon come. And June 1st is not as normally the start of the hurricane season too, not so?
It is, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Usually they'll declare it and that goes on until November.
Yes.
Where you anxiously watch what is coming off the coast of Africa because it always starts off the coast of Africa. Something is coming, there's something coming. So the Caribbean eyes turn towards there to see, well, okay, is everything all right? Is there any disturbance?
Yes.
So of course, a big welcome.
Let
me just say a big welcome to our Caribbean viewers via M&E TV. Good morning and welcome to you all. Of course, we have a chock-full show today. Of course, we'll be talking energy today because, you know, you have all matter. Energy is always an issue in Trinidad and Tobago in terms of the discussion. And of course, you know, the issue of gas. Can we get gas from Dragonfield? Can we get it from Guyana? Now they're talking about nutmeg in Grenada. The former Prime Minister and former Minister of Energy held a press conference specifically to deal with that issue yesterday. That issue of Grenada and nutmeg field. You also had, I know, Dr. Krishna Persad, who is one of the guests we have this morning, and we're speaking with them in the next hour about what are the possibilities of Guyana and Suriname and how that can affect the Trinidad and Tobago desire or need for gas to sustain a lot of our downstream industries too. So we'll be having an energy conversation this morning with Dr. Krishna Persad, of course, who is a renowned geologist and an expert in energy in Trinidad and Tobago, having been involved in field for over 40 plus years. And then we'll also be speaking to Dr. Thackwray, DAX driver, we call him DAX, who is the CEO and president of the Energy Chamber of Trinidad and Tobago. So some interesting discussions today on energy and the energy issue in Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, one of the things that I heard yesterday that I'd like to ask both gentlemen this morning is that regardless of where the gas is coming from, you still have to pass through Venezuelan waters. I had heard that yesterday. So I wanted to ask if that is in fact so, that you still have to get Venezuelan support in terms of getting the gas here. So that's one of the questions. But I want to wish a very good friend of mine, we go way, way back. His name is Anthony Tinto. He's originally from Maracas, St. Joseph. He lives now out there in Ontario, Canada. He's been out there Tinto's been out there for more than 20 years. Must be more than 30, Tinto. You know, today he's celebrating his birthday. He's a dear friend. He never misses this show. He and his wife, Denise. So happy birthday, my good friend Tinto. I'm doing away with all other birthdays today just to celebrate yours. So Richard,
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Oh, Richard, we
Tinto.
had to sing. We had to sing.
We had to sing? Oh.
Tinto is special to me and special to the breakfast show. So
All right. All right.
Because normally I would go, when I go up to Canada, Tinto and I would meet up and we'd go to this little pub and we'd play pool, a game of pool, and he'd always get licks. So let me wish him happy birthday in the proper way, right?
All right. All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tinto. Happy birthday to you.
What is wrong with you with your timing this morning?
No, I am trying to sing it fast. You sing like one of them old ladies in the back of the church. You know, let there be peace. And the people, the younger people in front going, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Yeah. And you let there. I tried to hurry it up and make it energize you like one of them old women in the back of the church singing liver strings out. Wake up, Wendell Stephen.
I think the little delay, the timing is what will throw him off.
No.
Yes.
No, an old woman who sings very slowly in the back of the church inhabits him.
Sir Charles, if you only know Richard Ragoobarsingh, that's I sing it the way we normally sing it, you know. He just
Well, I guess he probably wants you to get a newer version. Well, then you all have to, get a newer version, okay?
we had to record it and play it. That's what we need to do.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
But you know what? Let me just do our good news, because we always start off with some good news before we get into greeting all of the early messages. Is that what the correct word?
Messages. Go with messages.
Early messages on the platforms. So let's get into our good news for this month. And you may be wondering, why do I have a picture of a plane that is being sprayed with water on an already rainy day? Well, it's an Air Canada plane, and our good news is that Air Canada is back in Trinidad and Tobago, Wendell. And I'm sure that will be a relief to a lot of people. You now have another choice in terms of how you get to Canada. So Air Canada is back, and maybe I could give you a little bit of it. It's officially back in the TNT market 2 years after suspending the Toronto to Port of Spain route indefinitely. The AC 984 touched down at Piarco International just after 1 a.m. on Saturday with 156 passengers on board. Despite some light showers, the Boeing 737 MAX 8 was still welcomed with a traditional water cannon salute. Air Canada will fly between Canada and TNT 3 times weekly, adding over 4,000 seats to the market monthly. Canada is actually Trinidad and Tobago's second largest source market, accounting for over 35,000 visitors annually, not including the pandemic years, of course. So,
I
some good news.
Yeah, that's great news, Richard. That's not just good news. That's great news.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Well done.
So that's our good news for today. We always start with some good news, and then we get into the rest of the news, which is always good.
All right. So should I greet people, or are you going straight into the other news?
What other news? No, greet people.
Oh, I thought you were going into headlines.
No. Headlines? What's wrong with you?
What's the time?
That old woman from the back of the church really on you. You have that spirit on you this morning, boy.
If I already tell you who that old woman is, let me go. Susan Jessup started us out this morning at 3:30 a.m. Thank you for sharing our lives. Seen another day. Sound like an old woman with that kind of lyrics, eh?
Who's that?
Susan. Blessings, good morning, Sir Charles, Richard, Wendell. Love always Suzanne, Suzette, and Mrs. Gemma. All right? Then we have Far Rockaway saying good morning to all. Steph saying good morning, guys, at 5:08 a.m., which means you did not go to the gym. You better go and get that body in check. Boy BJC. Boy BJC from David says good morning. Brent Hackshaw, good morning, gentlemen. A blessed day to you all. Sherwin Kerr says good morning to the breakfast team. And all listeners and viewers have a fantastic day. Marlon Motley says blessed morning and day ahead, guys.
Good morning, Marlon.
Marcia Rock says good morning, gentlemen. Do have a great day. Stick money grip. Good morning, gentlemen. Robert Taylor, who comes up. Robert Taylor, no, he's not Mr. Just call him Robert. Good morning, guys. He's out there in Florida. Subash Mangal says good morning, everyone. Ingrid from Tucson, Arizona says good morning. Cheryl Johnson.
Good morning, Ingrid.
If I'm not mistaken, Cheryl Johnson might be Miss Diego Martin. I'm not sure. Rena Boodoo Jennings from there in Pity Valley says good morning, all. Wayne Ramsey in Fort Lauderdale says good morning. CJ in New York. Oh, you skip over CJ, so. CJ in New York says good morning, wonderful people. Do have a fantastic day. Carol Guevara, blessed and wonderful morning to you all. Alistair Hart, sunny San Fernando, says good morning. Michael in Yokohama, Japan, says good morning. Mrs. R, who takes out her mommy, says good morning all. Siobhan Sugar.
Good morning, Mrs. R.
Blessings on this day and every day. Trinidad Margot says good morning. Ambrose Blah in New York also says good morning. Joyce Phillip says morning, guys. Lambert Bruce, Cynthia Ramsarup, Tremaine Cummins. Hi, Tremaine. Thanks for joining us. Good morning, guys. Lincoln also says good morning. Dwayne Sylvester, Maria Cellier says happy birthday to my cousin Anthony Tinto out there in Canada. Yes. Good morning, guys. Owen Johnson. Good morning, Owen. Owen out there in Chaguanas Enterprise, I think. Owen, where are they? Kurupia? I'm not sure. Beauty Culture says good morning, guys. Patricia Defoe, Marcel Johnson, Ron DeSantis Jr. in Norfolk, Virginia. Far Rockaway. All right. Okay, Far Rockaway. That you're wrong on that, but we'll talk about that a little later. Helen Prescott. Sasha says greetings from London. Ozzy Molino, a lot of new names. Jerry Dollaby, the top windball cricketer. Good morning. Yes, Tinto was indeed the top windball cricketer, Jerry. You're so right. Yu says good morning from Japan. Okay, that's nice. We met Yu, didn't we, Richard?
I believe so, yes.
Yes.
Good morning, Yu.
Yes. Also, where are we again? Doreen Pierre says good morning, guys. Okay, Steph say Carl killing us. Yeah, Carl is expensive. Katyan Charles says good morning. Stellar Services, Champion of Democracy, Child of God. Pearl Cody says good morning. Nicholas Link also says good morning. Ron DeSantis Jr. Hill Ben says good morning. A lot of these names repeating themselves. So that's it. Those are it for our greetings, all right?
Same as when
good morning.
Ford mom died, Wendell.
Who's that? Oh.
That's what Champion of Democracy, Child of God is saying. So
well, we can't confirm that.
Yeah.
We always like to confirm bad news like that before we say anything.
Yeah.
Before you move on, let me also say good morning to Terry Ann Peters. She's on our WhatsApp. And also to Black Pearl, who is sending out greetings to Phil. Who's Phil? He said in between.
That's what
Phil.
Yeah. She said in between all of the laughter, it was awesome, and the message didn't stayed right through the laughter. So she was happy for that.
Thank you so much.
Phil had real problems. Real problems.
And also to the folks at GNC Auto Security. Good morning to you guys.
Of course, that play, Married and Mischievous, is on this weekend again due to public demand. We are back at Cipriani College for this Mother's Day weekend, actually. Saturday at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. And of course, we are at Cipriani College. Tickets will be on at outlets from today, and the box office at Cipriani College opens from tomorrow. But I'll let this guy tell you about it.
So you like the cabinet? Nobody ask you. Hey, you don't like the cabinet, but nobody ask you either. Don't come with that bacchanal and confusion by my corner, nah? The only bacchanal and confusion. Hey, you come back? Well, the only bacchanal and confusion I interested in is Married and Mischievous. Hey, they extend the show. It's going on this weekend again. Yeah, Saturday 10th and Sunday 11th of May. Yeah, I went last week. Okay, if you see people, I really enjoyed myself. I'm going back again. Yeah, what? What you said about my mother? Oh, if I carry my mother. Yeah, I carry my mother. You know, it's Mother's Day weekend. So I say, Ma, you want to go? I say, boy, it's strictly for adults, ma. She tell me, so what do you think I is? So we going down to Cipriani College this weekend. I'm going to treat my mother. What you say about my mother again? You know what? Move from the corner. Move.
RSRR Productions continues with Married and Mischievous. It's been held over for 2 more nights at Cipriani College due to overwhelming public demand on Saturday the 10th of May at 8:30 p.m. and Sunday the 11th at 6:30 p.m. It's Mother's Day weekend, so treat your mom to this fantastic adult comedy. Yes, Married and Mischievous. Tickets available at usual outlets and at the Cipriani College box office from Wednesday the 7th of May, 12 noon to 6 p.m. daily. This is not just a play, it's an experience.
What an experience it was.
So yes, and I'm just reminding you that is on this weekend. So, Wendell, what's going on in Trinidad and Tobago today before I get into the headlines?
But I don't know. I
saw the press conference yesterday because, you know, when we talked yesterday about the fact that the former Prime Minister and former Minister of Energy was holding a press conference, and we were kind of confused as to why he was holding a press conference.
Yes.
And, you know, and there was a discussion, and you said you felt it had to have come from the PNM because the Secretariat signed it coming out of Balize House.
Yes, it was an official Balize House letterhead.
Right. So he did hold that press conference, and it was basically to treat with the energy issues and the issue of the Grenada nutmeg field.
Yes.
That the current government, the new government, has suggested can be a source of natural gas.
Mm-hmm.
And pursuing that. So it was basically a caution on his part. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to summarize it, it was a caution on his part with regard to that. And of course, he couched it within the terms of, you know, we all have to look out for Trinidad and Tobago. It's one country. And so he just wanted to express his caution. Would I be right in summarizing it like that, Wendell?
Yes. And I'm sure when we speak to our guests in the 7 o'clock hour, they'll they'll clear it up also too, as to what does that mean? Because when the current government announced it came across as if it was something new. But of course, because they didn't indicate that it was something that was in the makings, I mean, even since last UNC government, I think, were in power. You know, so it's something that's been explored for a little while now. And I think, well, Stuart Young being the most recent person who would have been dealing with energy, decided to clear the air on a few things, you know, because I think he could have done what he did. So people felt he breached protocol. No, it wasn't breaching a protocol. It was sanctioned, of course, by the Secretariat of Balize House, and the actual press conference was held at Balize House. You know, so there was nothing untoward at all there in my mind. So we will explore that in the next hour in terms of what he said and what it means for Trinidad and Tobago, because you started to see things spreading that the dragon gas has been scrapped, and we don't know. You know, we don't know because we haven't heard that from the new Minister of Energy, who is Dr. Udal Munilal. You know, so we just have to wait and see, people.
Yeah. And I mean, hopefully we will get Dr. Munilal soon on the program to discuss what he said, what pathway he is going to pursue. Because of course you have a lot of technocrats that are going to advise and that ministry. And I mean, Trinidad and Tobago is not young in the energy sector. Of course, we're pretty well seasoned in it. So he's going to have a lot of technocrats advising him as he moves forward in that ministry. So it'll be good to get a sense from him about what direction the current government is going to. Hopefully we'll see if we can get him later on this week, maybe at some point, to join the breakfast show.
Yeah.
So, and of course, we will be speaking to those energy experts in the next hour, who will, of course, give their opinion on how they see it for sure.
Yeah.
But maybe I could do the headlines at this point, and then we'll come back and take some of your calls.
Yep.
On what the latest issues are in the country, and maybe up the Caribbean too. We can take some Caribbean callers, see what they're
Yeah, why not?
going on, where they are.
I think white. I think I'll settle on white for Richard from now on.
You settle on white?
On white, yeah. I think white looks good on me on the screen.
Oh, I went
with
to
the black
Sparrow.
background now. With the black background.
I immediately went to Sparrow song. I did not know what you were talking about. So Charles, I went straight to Sparrow. But anyway,
I could do a quick Air Canada turn around and come back, But I use my national airline. I'm satisfied. I mean, the price is a little more, but I'm satisfied with the service of my national airline. I'm going to stick with my national airline.
You're looking for a free seat there, boy.
I think I have enough miles.
That was an ad for Caribbean Airlines. Anyway, the Trinidad and Tobago news day for today. Let me start with that. I'll start with the news day. I don't have the Trinidad and Tobago Garden for today. I wonder if I have it online. Another place. The Trinidad and Tobago news day for today.
Yeah, we used to get it regularly, right? You remember?
Tuesday, May 6th, 2025. Ministers hit the ground running on busy first day for new government. That's the headline that the news day went with. Busy first day with new government, and there is a picture of none other than the Minister of Defense, Wayne Sturge, and the Minister of Homeland Security, Roger Alexander, and the Ministry of National Security in Port of Spain, both looking like they're having a conversation of some sort. So that's on the front page. Young cautions on Grenada, Guyana energy deals. That's also a sub-headline on the newspaper this morning. The Newsday. On the back page, Coach Theobald says mission accomplished. Army clinch TTPFL title. York rally support. Have a little faith in me. And Rampol named Wendy's ODI bowling coach. And well, the main picture is that of the Defense Force coach Denzel Theobald, and players celebrate after clinching the Trinidad and Tobago Premier Football League title following their 1-0 win against MIC Central FC Reboot at Police Barracks in St. James. I assume it's yesterday. The Daily Express for today on the front page. Whitehall mold keeps PM out. Ministers show up at offices, but Kamla works from home.
Whitehall mold?
Whitehall mold.
Whitehall just repaired the other day? Mold was rebuilt?
So you're saying...
There's mold in White House? But was the last PM just operating from there?
Well, apparently there is mold in
Whitehall.
In Whitehall. No, apparently there was some part that was flooded. I don't think it's the entire building.
Oh.
I think there is some. When I watched the clip, because Barry Padarat, the Minister of Public Utilities, spoke on it, and he said apparently some part of the building was flooded, and there was a mold, etc. And the UDCOT is supposed to deal with it. So apparently UDCOT has selected a contractor to deal with it, and they had to relocate staff eventually. They haven't started the process. I think they're about to start the process or something like that. That's
so the recent happening.
Well, mold is not something that just happens recently. Mold don't happen overnight.
It doesn't happen overnight, Take a few weeks into
So that's what I'm saying. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, but that's the headline. Whitehall mold keeps PM out. That's the headline that the Daily Express went with. Young insists dragon not dead. And on the back page, of course, will be more news. Ministers hit the ground running. The day for most ministers was characterized by introductions, internal briefings, and handovers as the government began its transition to power. And of course, a lot of state boards and stuff, seats to be filled as a new government moves into place. Champions, Defense Force win TT Premier Football League with a 1-0 victory over Central FC The silver pleased with legions, and TNT women fall short against windwards. So that's it for our 2 dailies. I don't have the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian was not out. You all were late this morning, Guardian, in getting to
Plenty news, I suppose.
Well, they must be trying to find a way to push crime and murder and thing on the back page now, or somewhere deep down. You know?
Well, let me share excuse me, something with you guys. Before we move on, today's the birthday of David Michael Rudder. And he's 72 years old today.
72.
Our icons are getting older. Yeah, 72 years. So happy birthday to David Rudder. And it's kind of bittersweet also because I'm seeing that the my former Tunapuna MP, his mom passed yesterday. So it's month 40.
You saw that way?
I'm seeing this on also on the Facebook feeds.
Okay, all right. So if it's all right, well, if Esmond posted it, then we could offer our condolences to Esmond and family on the passing of his mom.
Right. Our condolences to Esmond for that must say. Yeah. Losing a parent is always very impactful. You know, it always is. So, you know, we can take some of your calls and views now. Some calls at this point. So I will bring up the ticker tape. But while we do that, let me just remind you that we are on M&E TV.
Great news, Caribbean. The Breakfast Show is now on M&E TV, bringing you entertaining conversations, vital information, and influential perspectives throughout Trinidad and Tobago and across the Caribbean region. Catch us on Digicel Channel 20, Flow Channel 111, Amplia Channel 117, Blink Channel 109, Trico Channel 154, and Airlink Channel 10. The Breakfast Show connects with the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago like never before. We're now on M&E TV.
Yes. All right, so we can take some of your calls at this point. Of course, you are listening to the Breakfast Show on New Era TT Radio and M&E TV, and of course 2811-315, 2811-315 is where you can call us to get interactive. At this point, you can either direct call us or WhatsApp call us.
Beautiful. Caller, good morning to you.
Good morning, Chelsea. Good morning, Wendell and Richard.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm calling for Alexander Paul, but I think he will do a good job because I think one of the reasons he's offline was he was against he was talking about the judiciary and the in and the left door come out the right door and whatnot. So I hope he speaks to Ms. Kamala concerning that so we could calm down on the crime. There was a guy stating that we are going to get back our property tax, which I find is not a good thing to be putting out there. The tax supposed to help the country. The taxes supposed to help the country. If people don't pay and you all want to cancel, go ahead and cancel. But don't promise people to take back all the money to give it back to them. What kind of monkey business they're running?
Well, they're fulfilling a promise that they made on the platform. That's what they said.
Yeah.
That was one of their promises, that the property tax would be repealed.
People who paid would have to get back the money.
So I can't say that's not what they promised. That's one of their promises.
And I'm sure a lot of people will be looking forward to getting back their money in spite of everything. Miss Sampson, you don't want the money? I got collected it for you.
Miss Sampson, you brought up an important point. If it is that you don't want back your money, there should be a little dialogue box you could tick and say, no, keep it for the country.
Yeah.
And you could just fill out the form and say, keep it, I don't want it back.
Or you
could do something like that.
Yeah. I won't be filling out that box though. I want back mine.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
2 points I would like to raise. Has anybody noticed that reporters, because I don't like to call them journalists, that reporters keep interviewing the Minister of Homeland Security and asking them policing questions? People like they haven't separated the police from the minister. Whenever they speak to him, they keep asking him about policing and not ministerial duty. He himself can't separate himself to get to understand the difference. He keeps answering questions as a police officer and now not as a Minister of National Security, well, Minister of Homeland Security. I just an observation of, huh?
I say he will learn soon enough. That will take a little while for him
I
to
hope so.
adjust.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's just an observation that I've noticed, that a mistake that we keep making. We keep talking to the minister like a police. There was another first point that it's Mr. Young. I don't know. I just watch things and learn. And I don't know if he doesn't recognize that whatever direction the PNM was going in or taking the country in, when the UNC wins, they do a full 180. So for him to talk about Dragon Gas still alive with another government, another party in power, you are delusional, sir. The UNC government doesn't recognize the Venezuelan president, and the deal has been stopped by the US government. Why do you have why is it necessary for you to come and talk about the UNC don't want to go that direction. They are not going to go that direction. The same way from 2010 to 2015, they leave 2 towers totally abandoned that you all started and did nothing on it, and you all take 10 years after all they get back in office to finish one. And I don't know if they got around to handing out the keys before the election, but they promised to give out keys, so you know that key handing out ceremony may not ever happen for the next 5 years. But I know let us procrastinate and promise, and we go into and we looking into it and we go in and do this until they eventually lose the governance.
Thanks very much, caller.
Yeah, we have the callers on the line. Good morning, caller.
1 minute, lost it. Let's wait for it to come back in. Yeah.
Let me just greet some other people on the chat. Trini Gets Fit, good morning. Scorpion Pepper, DL, Philomena Ali, Miguel Gonzalez, and you did confirm, Richard, that she was the person who we met in Port of Spain. We had breakfast with you and Michael.
Oh, we did have breakfast with you.
Yes.
From Japan, yeah.
Yes.
So welcome. So Japan is in the house. So thanks for watching us all the way in Japan. And of course, all of the Caribbean on M&E TV. Thanks for joining us on the Breakfast Show. Be nice to get some calls from some of the people of the Caribbean watching the show.
We have calls.
So of course it's 281-1315. You can WhatsApp call us, or you can direct call us at 281-1315. Do we have a call on the line, Sir Charles?
Yes, we do. Good morning to you.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sir Charles, Wendell, and Richard.
Good
morning.
Wendell, yes, you're looking good in white, but you can't just wear it every day. It's going to get boring.
Wear different white jersey. I know wear the same white jersey.
No, we want to see different colors.
Okay.
You understand? Right. Light up your face a little bit with different colors. So don't get boring because I'm going to stop looking at you.
All right.
Right. So to all you
so I'm going to wear white every day then?
To all you look like ebony and ivory. We go on to see that every day. Look, listen. Morning, Mr. Yellow Lincoln. Cool it. And Stuart Young was just letting them know that they what they're talking is nonsense. So don't start to go that way, because as we say, and as I hear when they'll say you're going to find out for sure that if they had to run any kind of line to get gas from whether Guyana or Suriname, it's still at the path to Venezuelan water. So maybe he was just, but I don't know why he trying to tell them anything. Let them make the damn blunders and make themselves stupid if they want to feel they want to have nothing to do with Venezuela. Look how close Venezuela is. I don't know. That is why he said so. I don't see anything wrong with that. You understand? And I hope people who come in to talk this morning, or whoever if you have to bring, well, let's stay off up here and then back like a bit now.
They was there for 10 hours, 10 to 10 for 10 years. I say 10 hours. For 10 years. If people want to ride it back, ride it.
And come to play it and come to cry it down. Richard, you save your energy for your play weekend. Right? Come and let me tell you.
Zine, come out swinging this morning.
Get some good sleep.
Nobody
Get down to sleep now.
And to come to blame Dr. Rowley and Young for the laws. The MPs and them was out of touch with people on the ground.
Lord.
So that is what I want to let them know. Something nonsense.
But Dr. Rowley says it's his fault.
Well, he has to say so because.
But then you can't say something else if he says his fault.
I think so because I know why I say that.
All right.
You saw your MP.
All right. Okay, no problem. Thanks very much, Zina.
Don't wear white hair or colors. Don't hold press conference. Don't say nothing. Save your energy for the play.
It's the MP's fault. It's not Dr. Rowley, and it's not Stuart. It's the MP's fault.
Like either she get no sleep at all, or she get real sleep.
Get plenty sleep. no son running around to do it. Hello, good morning.
But we'll have some of as we.
Hi, morning.
Yeah, good morning, Paula. Let me get.
Hi, guys. Morning.
Hi, Carol here.
Coley, you have some noise in the back by you.
Real noise in the back there, Carol.
Yeah, well, yes, that's turning down the volume. Hi, morning, all. Morning, Wendell. Morning, Richard. Morning, Sakai.
Morning.
I was just looking at, there's a Facebook post from Esmond Ford where he says the person who died is not his maternal mother, is one of his Tinapuna moms. So just correcting that. It's not his blood mother.
Birth mother. Okay.
Adopted mother.
Yeah, his birth mother. All right, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks very much, Carol.
And of course, in the next hour, we will have Dr. Krishna Persad, who will be discussing the same energy questions, some of which were raised yesterday, and what the solutions are or possible routes forward in terms of the gas sector and the energy sector in Trinidad and Tobago. So that'll be an interesting conversation. And so we'll have both Dr. Krishna Persad, of course, he'll be first, and later on in the morning, we'll eventually have Dr. Dax Driver, the CEO and president of the Energy Chamber of Trinidad and Tobago. So both men are experts in their field, and they will have lots of interesting talk on the energy sector in the next hour. So you should not go anywhere. Absolutely not.
Let me also say good morning, Richard, to Annie Bunyan and Riri out there in West Palm Beach, right? Annie Bunyan and Riri, they are the two, and Dolly Mollett would have also joined us since we started. I'm not sure if I said morning to Lester Cragwell, but Lester Cragwell is also here.
Good morning.
We have a call.
Yeah.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let they get a chance to do what I do. If they get a deal to do gas in Grenada and wherever other country, fine. But right now, next door, Venezuela have a whole bacchanal with that. US don't want this, they creating sanction and whatnot. This their time now. Let it do. I'm all for PNM, but let it do what they have to do. PNM had it 10 years. They did what they had to do. They now come in power. Let me see what they're going to do. Let it do their part. Because at the end of the day, when PNM was doing their thing, even though the other side was making noise with the gases, wherever they still step forward, they did what they had to do. Now it's their time now. They now start. Let me see what they're going to do.
Well, that's it.
It's not about bashing UNC or bashing PNM. There's a new government in power that form. Let me see what they'll do. They'll now start. If it's a year from now, but then they can bump your gum and say this and say that. I'll say yes to that. But they now start.
Yeah.
As I say, I'm for PNM all the way. But just like the PNM was under 10 years and people was under distress because with that whole thing with property tax, I thought that deal with the commercial side first and then residential after. But when you have this thing along in, like I know outside they say America, everybody just pay property tax. But the difference with America, we're not changing the currency. You take 100 US, you go and you put your trolley. Forget about changing the currency till 7 to 1, wherever it is. You take 100 US, you go with that trolley in the market, in the supermarket, the whole trolley full. Plus you might get 2 trolley full with that money. But you take 100 TT, you go in the supermarket. If you get 5 items, you get plenty. And I'm talking about basic items. Milk, flour, sugar, oil, butter.
That's it.
So when you're trying to break the back of citizens paying this property tax, and then you still have to go and face your grocery
with this whole set of tax on it, and then everything had tax. And then when you go by the gas station, you're paying like over nearly $7 a liter for fuel. Come on, some people just fill up their car alone, maybe $200-$300. It have people who could close their eye and pay that easy. It have people had to study, boy, should I pay the gas today or let me see if I can mop a bus? And that whole PTS system, with that bus system, needs a whole rewind with that, because inside of them poor people suffer surcharge, you know about that.
I'm telling you.
I see people for hours waiting, especially the school trying to study, you know. That whole PTSC need a whole audit everything, because something going on, because I still can't understand all these messages that they have. They need to do something about it. Some actually going on inside of it, but
thanks very much, Susie.
And the NETT have nothing to do with that. It's all about the viewer of my mouth.
All right, okay. No problem.
They want to be clear.
Thank you very much for making that clear.
NETT say no, it's my mouth.
All right, okay, no problem. Thanks very much, Suzanne.
Very strong opinions from some of our callers there, Wendell.
Yeah.
Good morning, caller.
We had to do this boat ride fast, yes?
Morning, Rockaway.
Hi, morning. That lady who just called there, who said she's a PNM, but they give her a chance, the new government a chance, that is a true human being. That's a real person. She, I really like when a woman talk. Give people a chance. Within the second day in office, you call them into a banker, complain about the people on them. Give them a chance. And here what you say about the grocery, that is correct. $100, you can get stuff in America. $100 in Trinidad, you can't get a bag of dog food. Okay? But miss, you're a true human being, you're an honest person. Good day, gentlemen. Have a nice day.
All right.
All right.
All on fire this morning.
Yeah, we can take one or two more calls, and then we get into our morning poll this morning, and you can start voting when we bring it up. And in terms of our morning poll, you can vote via the comment section on Facebook and YouTube, and of course, if you are listening to us via TuneIn, and I know lots of people are listening to us on TuneIn, especially a lot of you abroad in North America, in your cars and stuff like that. Yeah, you go to TuneIn and listen to us. You can vote, but you'll have to WhatsApp call us at 2811315, or you can WhatsApp us. You can WhatsApp your vote at 2811315. Wherever you are across the planet or up the Caribbean, wherever you are, you can vote on our morning poll, which will be up in just a second. Do we have any more calls, Sir
Yes,
Charles?
we have a caller there. Virginia, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Norfolk, Virginia, front and center. Gentlemen, first begin with, I just want to ask Richard and then a quick question here. Well, two quick questions. One, the lady who called earlier, could you allow her to call back and let us know if she paid, if she would be refunded, that tax? That's number one. And number two, to Richard, any possibility you guys thought with your productions that just for those who are far away from home but have home in their heart, considered maybe doing a live stream just for those abroad? I mean, that would be a great, I know.
It is something that it is something that we are considering and actively looking at. And I mean, we have invested in some of the infrastructure already, so hopefully soon we'll be able to roll that out.
Oh, great. Yeah, because you don't want to do that, and then locally, that is, and then next thing you know, it impacts your gate receipts, and I understand that. But just for those abroad, you know what I'm saying? Hey, okay, man, and thanks again. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, so abroad, you could buy a ticket online and log in, and
you could stream it here morning on the show on straight. We could sit down and just watch Richard play on a morning, yeah, live on YouTube and Facebook and on Yemeni TV.
Yeah, but you had to buy a ticket to come in.
Well, you had to figure out some way that you could join the show to watch it.
That is what he's saying, working on right now. I suppose that is the key back there right now.
Anyway, I have a suggested poll for this morning, Wendell, and because we're talking energy this morning, Drago, oh goodness, I learned to spell. When you're trying to type when you're talking, that's called that. But that's our poll this morning. Do you think that the Dragon gas deal is dead? That's the poll. That's what I'm suggesting as a poll this morning. I don't know if you have a better poll, Wendell.
No, but I do, but
May you go with that one?
What's your better poll? Oh, you're doing a poll, Richard? Is that it?
Not, we'll go with that one, Richard.
All right, so the poll is went on.
To the point, we're talking energy this morning, so we're keeping our poll energy related. So do you think that the Dragon gas deal is dead? I know the former Prime Minister, Stuart Young, would have referenced that in his media conference yesterday. And he was, I think he was kind of, you could correct me if I'm wrong, Wendell, I think he was kind of berating the current Prime Minister for suggesting, or the current administration, let me just say it, for suggesting that the Dragon gas deal is dead. Because he's saying it's not. So
to be honest, I don't know why Stuart Young taking that stress. No? Just leave us. I agree with all those who saying leave this government for a while. Let them do what they do. I mean, we will do it on radio here for you. You understand? Let them do it. Let them make the mistake, because they're going to make several. We all know that. With that cabinet they appointed, they're going to make several. But leave them for a while now. Get them a little honeymoon. You know what I mean? There's a lot of new people. Because a lot of people criticizing already the Prime Minister for working from home, but we don't know that she did, you know? So I just not gonna stress myself out. Trust me, again, ever.
And isn't that she can't work from home?
But she could. So I'm just saying,
We are
making it a big deal.
Anyway, can we start taking our votes, please?
Yes,
so do you think that the Dragon gas deal is dead? That's our poll this morning. Yes or no? What is your opinion?
Right, so we have a caller online here. Caller, good morning. What do you say? Is the Dragon gas deal dead?
Well, they can't talk to Venezuela.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Not to take Viagra to bring it back alive.
Is it dead?
Yes or no?
Yes or no?
They have to take Viagra to bring it back alive.
Next call.
Boy
Bidesi says yes. Boy Bidesi says yes. Champion of democracy, who I'm sure is Karen Yip now. I've been bold now. I'm sure that's Annie Bunyan says yes. Michael Robinson says yes. Ilarizan, I know that's a new name, says yes. Lester Cragwell says yes. DL says yes. Gregory Boyer says yes. Where's Trini Gets Fit says yes. Donna Ramluchan says yes. The good thing about you all commenting on this show is that we get to decide if we read it or not. You don't get that, right? Finbar Collins says yes. Miguel Gonzalez says yes. Julia Batiste says yes. Champion voted says yes. But unless he's saying yes, he's Karen. Brent Hackshaw says yes. Susan Jessup says yes. Marcia Rock says yes. Steph says yes. And those are our votes so far online, Richard.
So Charles, what's up?
Yeah, let me take this call and then we'll take the caller. What say you? How do you vote?
Dead as when my president was with Stormy Daniels. Enough respect there still. But anyway, thank you.
All right.
What did he say? Yes?
He said that, yeah. He said yes.
Yeah, he said well dead.
He just made an analogy. Chris Tusa says yes. Wayne Joseph says yes. Paul Cody says yes.
Right. So Joyce Phillips says yes. Blackpool says yes. Priya says yes. And Junior says, let me just get Junior. I have to open it up. Right. No, Junior says no. I have Pauline says yes. Sean says yes. And Annan says definitely yes.
Alistair Hart says yes. He said, and the funeral was last week Monday.
Oh my word.
Andrew Joseph says yes.
It's your creative.
Barack always says yes.
Yeah.
Those are our other votes online. We have to break for the news now, people. We have to be on time.
Yeah, so we have to break for our news. When we come back, we'll take a couple more votes, and then we'll get into our conversation with Dr. Krishna Persad, who will be joining us to discuss energy in Trinidad and Tobago. So Amanda's up next. A special good morning to you, Amanda, with our 7 a.m. newscast.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
This is your news update. I am Amanda Mitchell with New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessar's new cabinet faces immediate infrastructure challenges as Whitehall, the official Prime Minister's office, has been deemed unsuitable for occupation. Public Utilities Minister Barry Padarath revealed that the facility suffers from significant mold issues, making it non-functional for government operations. The Urban Development Company of Trinidad and Tobago indicated that staff will be relocated soon as a contractor for the remedial works has been selected. Arima MP Penelope Beckles-Robinson will be sworn in as Trinidad and Tobago's new opposition leader today at 3 p.m. at President's House in St. Anne's. In a radio interview, Beckles-Robinson stated her 6 senatorial picks would reflect a balance of experience and youth, potentially including Tobagonians and former PNM candidates who were unsuccessful in the April 28th general election. Her appointment received unanimous backing from the PNM at a special General Council meeting last week. A potential natural gas deal between Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago has sparked debate between current and former government officials. Prime Minister Persad Bissessar announced that newly appointed Energy Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal will be sent to Grenada to explore potential resources. However, former Prime Minister and Energy Minister Stuart Young has cautioned against premature decisions, noting that previous explorations by Russia-based Global Petroleum Group in Grenada's waters yielded no commercial quantities of gas.
2018, the NGC went and signed a commercial arrangement with a company called Global Petroleum Group, which was, I believe, a Russian-based company. We negotiated at the time a commercial term sheet for any gas reserves that were found, not gas reserves, any gas that would be produced. So actually arranged and negotiated commercial terms. However, the facts are that this one well was drilled in a field called Nutmeg. That one exploration well, unfortunately, had to be abandoned and has been capped. The fact that since 2018 to now, there has been no progress on this and that there are no proven reserves with one well being drilled certainly means that it is very, very far from any commercialization. Because first of all, there are no proven reserves at this stage.
Young expressed concern over Persad Bissessar's declaration that the Dragon gas deal with Venezuela is dead, describing her comments as irresponsible given the lack of consultation or review of existing documentation. Housing Minister Dr. David Lee has acknowledged the overwhelming demand for housing on his first day in office. He told media that requests are already outpacing current capacity, stating the demand outstrips the supply. Minister Lee indicated he will be looking at revitalizing HDC properties that residents claim have been neglected, while working with the housing team to deliver on manifesto promises. You are listening to news on New Era TT Radio. In regional news, Caribbean Airlines passengers will soon enjoy wireless in-flight entertainment on board the carrier's ATR fleet and its Boeing 737-800NG. The service, called Caribbean View, will offer access to movies, TV shows, music, games, and a moving map via passengers' personal devices, though it won't provide external internet access. This follows Caribbean Airlines' new partnership with Scotland-based Blue Box Aviation Systems. CEO Garvin Madeira noted that with ATR aircraft now flying more regional routes, it was the right time to introduce consistent in-flight entertainment across the fleet. In international news, the Trump administration has announced plans to pay immigrants in the United States illegally who voluntarily returned to their home country $1,000 while also covering travel assistance. The Department of Homeland Security stated that those using the CBP Home app to declare their intention to return home will be deprioritized for detention and removal. Secretary Kristi Noem said, "Self-deportation is the best, safest, and most cost-effective way to leave the United States to avoid arrest." This initiative comes as the administration pushes forward with its mass deportation agenda while seeking increased resources for immigration and customs enforcement. That concludes your news update for today. I'm Amanda Mitchell for New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. The Breakfast Show with Wendell, Richard, and Sir Charles continues right after this short break.
That was news now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Of the invasive, painful old methods of testing prostate and breasts?
The Institute of Health and Fitness Clinic and Wellness Center offers comprehensive and non-invasive diagnostic testing, which indicates the nature and extent of diseases and tests your nutritional levels. Our quick testing can identify early signs of problems by evaluating many of the bodily functions, such as male and female sexual function, gastrointestinal function, liver function, kidney function, thyroid function, heart and brain function, and also cancer testing. Results are comparable with other medical lab tests without the use of needles or embarrassing specimen cups, and is pain-free. We also offer all natural treatments. Visit us now at number 79 St. Vincent Street, Tunapuna, or call 492-7397 or 289-6363.
Wake up with the Net Radio Breakfast Show. Rise and shine with Wendell Stevens and Richard Ragoobarsingh, weekdays from 6 o'clock to 9 a.m. Start your day feeling good, energized, and informed as we tackle the biggest issues of the day, get you where you need to be on time, and keep you in the know about everything that matters. We bring you insightful discussions, expert analysis, and the latest updates so you're always ahead of the curve. Mornings matter. Your voice matters. And it all starts right here on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio. The Net Radio Breakfast Show, weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. Wake up informed and stay ahead.
I don't have mistakes and ten upon. Come and gather round the tent. We ready to jump. Rum done in me back pocket. Tie me head with a Trini bandana. Booksy say, we come to mash up the savannah. Oh, tell them we coming. They better clear the runway. We coming in hotter than a jet plane. This cause shit longer than a movie. So sweet and groovy, it make the whole place shake, Time to rock the party. Smoky with the pan and soda. It's party and sober. Everybody jam and coming down. The whole country jamming down to the sweetest band. It's the sweetest band. Face to play. The notes can break away. Hey. When the rubber mallet touch the drum, to create a smoother transition. That's when Pan was born. To play this sweet soca song, look we waving we banner, heading straight to Panorama. Booksy say, we come to mash up the savannah. Oh, tell them we coming. They better clear the runway. We coming in hotter than a jet plane. This cause shit longer than a movie. So sweet and groovy, it make the whole place shake, Time to rock the party. Smoky with the pan and soda. This party is over. Everybody jam and coming down. The whole country jamming down to the sweetest band. It's the sweetest band. Face to play. The notes can break away. Hey. We are just the players paying rent. This is the people instrument. Look, they call for a big tune. Let's give them the pan and them. Have everybody waving. The atmosphere so amazing. Booksy say, we go have the fire blazing. Oh, tell them we coming. They better clear the runway. We coming. Wash it longer than a movie. So sweet and groovy, it make the whole place shake, whole place shake.
Mornings just got better. You're locked into Net Radio Breakfast Show. Fueling your day with the best music and new talk.
All right, everybody, and of course, welcome inside of the second hour of the breakfast show on New Era TT Radio. And as we get ready, I think we have up next is our weather, right? So let's do that.
Good morning again, Trinidad and Tobago. This is your weather update for Tuesday, the 6th of May, 2025, from New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. Today we're looking at generally sunny and hazy conditions with just a few isolated showery spells. There's a low chance of isolated heavy showers near hilly areas during the afternoon, so if you're headed to those regions, you might want to keep an umbrella handy. Tonight will be mostly fair, perfect for any evening plans you might have. We should note that a mild to moderate concentration of Saharan dust is present in the atmosphere. Sensitive persons should take necessary precautions to protect their respiratory health. For our neighbors in the remainder of the Lesser Antilles, expect partly cloudy conditions, becoming cloudy at times with occasional showery spells and the chance of isolated thunderstorms. Temperature-wise, Trinidad can expect a maximum of 32 degrees Celsius today with a minimum of 25 degrees Celsius. In Tobago, the maximum will reach 31 degrees Celsius with a minimum of 26 degrees Celsius. With humidity factored in, the heat index will make it feel like 36 degrees Celsius in Trinidad and 35 degrees Celsius in Tobago, so remember to stay hydrated throughout the day. Sea conditions are slight to moderate with wave heights of 1 to 1.5 meters in open waters and below 1 meter in sheltered areas. The monthly cumulative rainfall now stands at 13.2 millimeters for Piarco and 30.2 millimeters for Crown Point. The sun rose this morning at 5:46 and will set at 6:19 this evening. For those planning maritime activities today, high tide in Port of Spain will occur at 11:53 this morning with low tides at 5:43 this morning and 6:10 this evening. In Scarborough, high tides will be at 12:10 early this morning and 12:08 this afternoon, with low tides at 6:07 this morning and 6:31 this evening. Looking ahead to tomorrow, Wednesday the 7th of May, expect similarly sunny and breezy conditions with a low chance of afternoon showers. This has been your weather update for today. From all of us at New Era TT Radio and M&E TV, we wish you a wonderful Tuesday filled with sunshine and pleasant breezes. Great news, Caribbean. The Breakfast Show is now on M&E TV, bringing you entertaining conversations, vital information, and influential perspectives throughout Trinidad and Tobago and across the Caribbean region. Catch us on Digicel Channel 20, Flow Channel 111, Amplia Channel 117, Blink Channel 109, Trico Channel 154, and Airlink Channel 10. The Breakfast Show connects with the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago like never before. We're now on M&E TV.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newerattradio@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for?
All right, so we are back on the breakfast show this morning in our second hour. And of course, we'll be, I know Dr. Krishna Persad is standing by. to join the program. We just want to give you the poll results for this morning, and we of course, it's
I have one more for you, Richard.
You have one more vote, okay?
Yeah. So Juliana is saying yes, and Anthony, he didn't vote, but he's saying welcome to the guys and a refreshing song to the morning show. He's welcoming it.
Thank you, Anthony. We have one vote from Carol Guevara saying yes. We have Beauty Culture also saying yes. But how will that affect the reopening of Petrotrin? We'll ask that question, Beauty Culture. Let me see who else voted. That's it. Yeah, that's it. A lot of discussion going back and forth between people. Right? And Anthony Tinto, you know, lock on. We sing happy birthday for you, boy. What the hell is this, boy? All right. Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
that's
so that's it. So I'll give you the morning poll results. Our poll this morning is: do you think that the Dragon gas deal is dead? Do you think that the Dragon gas deal is dead? We had 35 people voting on the poll in the allotted time this morning. Out of the 35 people voting, 34 of you said yes, you think it's dead. And one person said no, they don't think it's dead.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our poll results for this morning. So now you know the vast majority of people who chose to vote this morning is saying, and that's of course just a small portion of the electorate.
Mm-hmm.
But you chose to vote rule, and they say it's dead. So of course we'll now go to our Let's Talk segment on the Breakfast Show. Good morning, Dr. Persad, and welcome to the Breakfast Show. And we appreciate you taking the time out to speak with us this morning.
Is he hearing us?
Are you hearing us, Dr. Persad?
I don't think he has on his system. We are seeing him, but I don't think he's hearing us. Dr. Persad, good morning.
Dr. Persad, are you hearing us?
Let me wave to him and tell him put on his mic. Put on here. Are you hearing us? I don't do a little sign language here.
His volume is
off. Are you hearing us? I don't think he's hearing us.
Well, he'll be seeing us because
I can't hear you.
All right, we're hearing you.
We are hearing you.
The volume is very low. How can I adjust that?
You have a little volume now down to the bottom right hand corner.
Okay.
A little thing looks like a speaker phone. If you click on that, you should be able to carry up your volume. The bottom right hand corner.
Okay.
Are you hearing us now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Right. Beautiful.
All right, great. So, Dr. Persad, thanks so much for joining us on the Breakfast Show this morning. We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
Good morning. I'm very happy to talk to you.
Yeah.
Talk to you.
Well, we start off with the poll, Richard.
Yeah, we can start off with the poll, Dr. Persad. Our poll this morning to our listeners and viewers was, do you think that the Dragon gas deal is dead? What's your take?
My take?
Yeah. What do you think?
How would you have voted? How would you have voted if you were a pollster?
Dead or dying.
Dead or dying would be your vote.
Yes.
You know, I know that you would have made some suggestions previously. I know sometime last week, I think you were in the media, the news media, advising, I suppose, the government in terms of your considerable expertise in the energy sector, that they needed to look at alternatives that avoided Venezuela altogether. Would that be accurate?
I don't remember, but that position would be mine now because of Trump and the potential harm it could do to Trinidad and Tobago if he imposes more sanctions on us. We cannot afford that risk.
But if you we obviously need gas. So what would be the solutions? What do you see as the possible solutions to the dilemma that Trinidad and Tobago finds itself in terms of the gas reserves that we require especially for downstream industries, etc., and Atlantic LNG?
Yeah, we are about a third down from our peak several years ago. So we need all the domestic gas we can develop, and we do have significant resources and reserves of domestic gas off the East Coast, particularly the deep water gas on the northern part of the East Coast. That's Woodside. I think it's Calypso Field, it's called now. The smaller fields being developed by BP on the south coast, and the north coast marine area fields being developed by Shell. We need all of those, but we need more. So we are going to have to look at other areas. And to my mind, we look at the areas closest to Trinidad and Tobago, other than Venezuela. Venezuela can only come in when Trump and his party's administration are gone or change their position. So let's forget Venezuela. That includes Dragon.
Stick a pin right there, Dr. Persad. You're saying that when the Trump administration changes or when the Maduro administration changes?
Well, the critical factor here is Trump, not Maduro.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Trump and his party. If his party comes back into power 4 years from now and they don't change their position and they maintain a Trump position, we are in the same.
Okay.
So let's forget Dragon. What other resources? What other sources? Potential sources. There is Grenada, which the Prime Minister, I understand, mentioned a few days ago. There is also Guyana and Suriname. And we should pursue all three.
Now, let's talk about Grenada first, because when we saw the Grenada conversation come up and the nutmeg field was referenced, I mean, we are in media, a little while, we took a little break, but we have generally been involved in following the stories, and we couldn't remember Grenada being an active consideration in terms of Trinidad and Tobago's shortfall in gas when we were discussing it yesterday. So it kind of felt new to us, even though I suppose people in the field like you, it's not new. But for us, it felt new. And the whole reference to the nutmeg field. And then yesterday you had what I thought was a little strange, but he explained, the former Prime Minister and Minister of Energy, Stuart Young, Senior Counsel, articulating caution with regard to nutmeg and saying that there were no proven gas reserves or commercial proof of gas reserves in that kind of quantity as yet. So he was already saying, hold up, be cautious. What's your view on specifically Grenada? We can get to Guyana and Suriname.
Let me say that the former Prime Minister, Minister of Energy, may have been wearing a political hat as opposed to a technical commercial hat.
Okay.
Now, I don't get involved in politics, and I will not wear political hats. So what I am saying is basically technical and potentially commercial, right?
Yeah.
A field has been discovered south of Grenada in an area called the Caricom Basin, which is a prolific basin. South of that discovery is a line of fields stretching from Venezuela into the North Coast Marine area, which have very large reserves of natural gas. Some are in production in our waters. Now, The Dragon gas field is the one that's closest to us, Venezuela. There was one well drilled, and then subsequently there were 3 confirmation wells. Now in Grenada, there is one exploration well that has been drilled, and it has been successful. Now let me say that in that area, there is a geophysical manifestation called bright spots, which when you look at the seismic, if there's gas there, the zone lights up, and you can have a good indication of the presence of gas and the extent, the aerial extent of the gas, and even the thickness. So that to say and to dismiss Grenada, I think, is definitely premature, and I think it should be pursued. What one would have to do first is negotiate with Grenada the commercial terms. 2, drill 2 or 3 confirmation wells. And I heard him say also that you would have to go through Venezuelan waters to get to Trinidad. Now, again, he may have been speaking with a political hat, but technically, if you look at a map, and I am looking at one now, you can go straight from Grenada into Trinidad and Tobago waters without having to go to Venezuela, through Venezuelan waters, to build a pipeline.
So Dr. Persad,
yes,
I think I want to, in order, with the question that Richard asked, why haven't we been hearing about this Grenada field for the last how many ever years?
The discovery was made in 2017 by a Russian company. And the Grenadian government had commercial problems with the Russian company for many years. Recently, I think it's 3 years ago, they indicated that another company has joined or made a commercial arrangement with the Russian company, and these would have to be investigated by us. And we would have to deal, to my mind, government-to-government arrangement between Trinidad and Tobago and Grenada to clarify that commercial arrangement and to ensure that when we get into an arrangement with the Grenadian government, that there are no other negative potential events.
So we were looking at 2027 for Dragon if it had gone through, right? So when are we looking at in terms of Grenada? Is it that this is not going to happen within the next few years?
Well, yes, you're talking Grenada only, but don't forget I have also said Guyana and Suriname.
And Suriname, yes. Mm-hmm.
So let's switch the conversation to Guyana and Suriname for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
They both have large reserves, proven reserves of natural gas.
Mm-hmm.
Natural gas on its own and natural gas associated with their oil fields. Again, one can build a pipeline from there to the north and then to the east into our infrastructure on the southeast side of the country.
Would that require going through Venezuela, the Guyana and Suriname?
No.
Okay.
Definitely not.
All right.
The shortest way is through Venezuela, but avoiding Venezuela is easy.
Okay.
Right?
And this would hold for both Suriname and Guyana.
What's that?
This would hold for both Suriname and Guyana.
Both Suriname and Guyana.
That
Correct.
infrastructure could serve both.
The infrastructure can serve both. Correct. You can do a link between Suriname and Guyana. Guyana is right now building a gas to shore pipeline. Exxon, I think they've built it already. And that's another consideration. Let me talk about that. So we can go from the gas fields in Guyana, north and then west, and from the gas field in Suriname, west to link. There's another potential opportunity that we as a country, we have the National Gas Company. We could do government-to-government arrangement to build petrochemical plants, which would be owned maybe jointly by Guyana or Suriname, and the government of Trinidad and Tobago through NGC or one of its subsidiaries, or another government entity to build petrochemical plants in Guyana and reap the benefits.
I know a lot of this would depend, of course, on the negotiating skills of the various technocrats and stuff like that. And also, of course, the willingness of our Caricom partners to be part of that process that would facilitate the Trinidad and Tobago energy industry, but also facilitates them, because it can be a win-win situation for all of the countries involved. How difficult you think it would be to actually materialize this kind of infrastructure, and how kind of linking back to what Wendell would have raised earlier with Grenada, how long does it take to initialize something like this? Are we speaking in years and years, or is it like can this happen if the decision making is fast, happen in 2 years, 3 years?
2-3 years if we build a pipeline. There's no reason why a subsea pipeline can't be built in a year, 2 years, 3 years. Once a decision is made and the money is available, technology is there to build that pipeline.
And that might be the key. That might be the drawback. The money is available. Do we have the money for that?
Well, that I don't have the money to help. Do you?
I don't. I mean, if I can leave, I can leave them with my property tax. I don't need a refund.
Yeah, no, but to my mind, if a decision is made to build a pipeline, money can be found by the government of Trinidad and Tobago to do that. And to my mind, that is the fastest and most beneficial to us, because we are short of gas by over 1 billion cubic foot a day, and they have it. Grenada can come later on, but it would take longer.
Right. What about Dr. Persad, what about the Loran-Manatee field? Because that Manatee field would have some level.
That is going ahead. Our portion of it is going ahead.
Right.
Our portion, Shell has taken, as far as I know, a final investment decision on that and has started work. But that would take longer, interestingly, because they would have to drill the wells, put in the infrastructure to drill the wells, and then also build a pipeline. So that would be 5 years. But a gas pipeline from Suriname, Guyana could be a lot less. So while that is happening, we should also look at all opportunities and all potential sources and should pursue all of them.
So I was going to get back, Dr. Persad, to the issue of Dragon. Now, most of the infrastructure is in place. What we have to do now is show our negotiating skills. And maybe this government might be better than the last government in terms of negotiating.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
Our government-to-government arrangement agreement should talk, our government should talk to the Trump administration and say, let us come to an arrangement where all the revenues from Dragon are put into an account which will be accessed only 30 years at the end of the license from now. So Maduro will long be dead by then. Trump may be as well. Things change 30 years from now, and I don't see people having too many objections to Venezuela accessing the funds 30 years from now. And in the meanwhile, we get benefit of the gas. Maduro would have to agree to it as well.
Yeah. Well, I know you're using 30 years as
yeah. That's the length of the license.
Yeah, I know you're using 30 years as an extreme example, but
right.
surely
but it could be less than that.
Right. But surely, and I was suggesting that maybe this government negotiating skills with America, specifically America, may be better than the past government, and may be able to get because the Dragon gas deal is really just 2 years away.
Well, they should look at it and consider that possibility. Freezing the funds, and Venezuela could look at it as a sovereign wealth fund. They don't have any sovereign wealth fund, as far as I'm aware.
Yes.
Yeah. But Dr. Persad, tell me, don't we have some level of gas production coming on in 2026?
In
2026, next year. Because I seem to remember maybe
both Shell and BP have gas coming on shortly. I don't know if it's 26 or 27. But they are bringing on fields right now as we speak, both on the North Coast and on the East Coast. But those are small amounts. We're looking at 3 to 5 to 600 million cubic feet a day. We need a lot more than that. Those gas fields would only sort of stem the decline and maintain current production levels, which are way below what we need.
How would this impact, Dr. Persad, because a few people asked it in the chat, on the reopening of the Petrotrin refinery? How would all of this impact on that?
Well, we have been talking gas. I want to change the conversation to include oil and the Petrotrin refinery and petrochemicals, right? So let me talk about oil before I talk about the Petrotrin refinery. Or which you prefer me to talk first about?
Well, specifically about the Petrotrin refinery.
Okay. Again, the government has to use its negotiating skills to ensure that if the refinery is refurbished and brought back on stream, that we don't spend our money doing it. That whoever comes in is a purely commercial arrangement and they bring the money. And we receive tax revenues and or however, throughput revenue. That's the only way realistically I see us going, especially with the country's shortage of funds. And if that can be done, by all means. But a word of caution, that refinery is howled. Older than me.
All right. Well,
I know the last
was put together.
Yeah, I know the last government would have said that they would have gone into an agreement, or they would have signed an agreement with a Nigerian company, and the current administration is saying, as part of
there were always problems with that Nigerian company anyway.
Oh, what problems was that?
As far as I know, money and money access.
Oh, the kind of money required to restart Petrotrin.
Correct. Similarly, with the best will in the world, the OWTU would have to find almost $1 billion US. Whoever wants to restart that refinery. Now, I had been saying for many years that the refinery is an old refinery, and if it were me, I would close it down, sell it, for scrap, build a new 100,000 or 50,000 barrel a day refinery, which is geared towards light sweet crude, then do a deal with Guyana and Suriname to process their light sweet crude in our refinery.
Oh, okay.
The current refinery was always geared to processing heavy crude from the Middle East. We don't have that. We'll have to go and look for that somewhere further away, further afield. What about Guyana, Suriname? And if there are any portions of the refinery, any of the plants which can be used, maybe that can be done. But again, a word of caution. The cat cracker was built in 1960. How many years ago is that? A new refinery can occupy 4 acres and process 50 to 100,000 barrels a day. The same $1 billion could practically build that refinery. What would you do if it was your $1 billion? Tell me.
Yeah.
I know what I would do.
Build something new and scrap
Brand
it.
new.
Scrap.
So-
You know,
so-
it's interesting that you bring that up, Dr. Persad. I don't think you've ever heard that from any of the. You haven't heard that conversation about scrapping it completely and building a new refinery.
Only for me, but I haven't spoken about it for many years.
Yeah.
But I want to go on to another area which has been largely ignored because people are talking gas. Let's talk about oil. Oil is at a what, more than 100-year low now. Why? We have not found any new oil fields recently. But how much oil has been produced in Trinidad? 3.5 billion barrels of oil. Now, let me tell you, most of that is primary oil. The oil that remains in the ground is about 9 billion barrels of oil. Proven reserves, which can be accessed by enhanced oil recovery. And I have been preaching for 20 years to use our carbon dioxide, which is a very efficient enhanced oil recovery agent, and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We can make ourselves overnight and going from one of the worst emitters of natural gas per capita in the world to one of the best, and get production up to 100,000 barrels a day. All we need to do is bring 100 million cubic feet a day from Point Lisas of pure CO2, which is being emitted every day. Well, I think it's less than that, but about that. And bring it into the one of the onshore fields, prepare it for carbon dioxide and enhanced oil recovery. And within a year, I guarantee you, we will be up to 100,000 barrels a day. What are we waiting for? I don't know.
You know, I've never heard that either. So you're giving me.
I have been preaching that for 20 years.
You know, but it's not something that's discussed by politicians in terms of a solution in terms of the oil and gas.
Well,
so
Dr.
why,
Persad,
Dr. Persad, why aren't they listening to you? If it is that because you're an expert in the field, why aren't they listening to you?
Maybe I should charge them $1 million US and then they will listen. Because that's what they do. They go to people outside of the country, pay $1 million US, and listen to them. My services are available. You can tell them to come to me.
But I'm sure they're all listening and watching this morning.
What's that?
I'm sure they are all listening and watching this morning.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
If they aren't, you can send them a recording, right?
Yeah, we can. But Dr. Persad, that's where we're going to have to leave it this morning. But thanks so much for joining us. A very interesting conversation. We'd love to have you back to as the energy picture becomes clearer and clearer in which direction this government is going.
I'll be more than happy to talk to you.
So we'd love to have you back on. So thanks so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Dr.
You're very welcome.
Okay. All right. So of course, that was Dr. Krishna Persad, energy geologist and energy expert in energy, of course, in Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, we will be joined shortly by Dr. Dax Driver. But let's go to a quick break and just remind people that you need to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. Of course, you're watching us on M&E TV up the Caribbean and in Trinidad and Tobago. But you can also like and subscribe our YouTube channel. We are going for 100,000 subscribers, so help us get there. And let me remind you how.
Great news, Caribbean. The Breakfast Show is now on M&E TV, bringing you entertaining conversations, vital information, and influential perspectives throughout Trinidad and Tobago and across the Caribbean region. Catch us on Digicel Channel 20, Flow Channel 111, Amplia Channel 117, Blink Channel 109, Trico Channel 154, and Airlink Channel 10. The Breakfast Show connects with the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago like never before. We're now on M&E TV.
And of course, we have Dr. Driver now joining us on
he's out in Mayaro or somewhere. What bridge is that Rohan Bill on there, Dr. Driver?
No, that's actually it's in Caricom Swamp, and that's the background for our conference, which we have upcoming, the Caribbean Sustainable Energy Conference on June the 2nd. So I'll get my advert in early.
All right, great. Because I was supposed to, a friend invited me to go to the Caricom Swamp the other day to do the boat ride. I've never done it, to check these cars. I've never done it.
Oh,
and
really? You have to do that. Wow, I can't believe you've never done that. It's a fantastic.
No, I've never. Seriously.
Wow. I've never done it either. So, I mean, we're two of us. Yes, you know,
go together.
You know, interestingly, Dr. Driver, so many Trinidadians and Guyanians have never done that. We know of it, but we just never did it, you know, and
it's a wonderful thing. It's an absolutely wonderful thing. I mean, it's something which everyone should do.
We'll try. Right. We'll definitely have to do it. Now that you've given us such a vivid picture of it.
Okay. So, of course, Dr. Driver, thanks for joining us on the Breakfast Show this morning. And, of course, we're talking energy. And of course, we just spoke with Dr. Krishna Persad on his perspective of the energy sector. And I know you would have heard some of the conversation while you were waiting backstage. But what's your take in terms of, if we could start off with the Grenada issue, the nutmeg issue, and maybe we should start off with our poll this morning, because we asked our listeners and viewers, do you think that the Dragon gas deal is dead? And the vast majority of our listeners and viewers said, yes, they think it is. Right. And well, certainly Dr. Persad says, well, in his opinion, it is because of the Trump administration. Maybe after the Trump administration changes, then maybe you may get some life back into it. But at this point, it looks dead in the water. What's your take?
Well, I think the first thing I think people talk about dragon as if it is actually a dragon. It's a accumulation of natural gas under the sea in Venezuela's territorial waters. Obviously, that gas has not gone away. The resources are still there, and there's also a license which exists, that license to produce that natural gas with the government of Venezuela is held by Shell and the National Gas Company. So that's still there and exists. The challenge is that there's the sanctions regime which the U.S. government has placed on Venezuela. We had a license which had allowed us to deal with Venezuela despite the sanctions regime, and that license from the U.S. government to allow us to deal despite the sanctions has now been removed. And I don't really want to comment on whether that's going to change in the future or not. It's a geopolitical issue involving U.S. government and Venezuelan government, and things might change or it may not. I think we just have to wait and see for that. But the field is still there. The resources are there. So hopefully at some stage we will sort out the politics of it. and that is one of many sources of natural gas which could be brought into the Trinidad system.
So your short answer is no. Then it's not dead.
Well, the field is clearly it's not. This is a natural gas field, so the field doesn't die. The project at the moment has got a very serious political challenge, which has to be overcome before anything could happen.
Oh.
Yeah, in terms of Grenada, the Grenada nutmeg field, and of course the former Prime Minister and Minister of Energy referenced caution with regard to that particular field. Dr. Persad indicated that he didn't want to put on any political hat. He was just speaking from a technical point of view, and his perspective he referenced was purely technical and geological, in that there was potential there. Do you agree with that perspective?
Yeah, I mean, there was an exploration well drilled in the Nutmeg well in 2017, and there was a find of hydrocarbons from that. Very limited detail is in the public domain since then. The field was licensed to a company called Global Petroleum Group. It's a small Russian privately held company. They held the license. We've had very limited information about that since that find. When the well was being drilled, the exploration well was being drilled, that was actually serviced out of Trinidad. So a lot of Trinidadian service companies or Trinidadian-based service companies worked on that project. But since then, we've had very little information. I think that it is an opportunity and something certainly would be great to explore. And if there's some new information available to the government now, which makes that something which is very worth exploring quickly, certainly something we should be pursuing. I think it's a great opportunity. I think Grenada, if it's a major gas field and needs infrastructure to develop it, Grenada isn't going to want to put methanol and ammonia plants in Grenada, and obviously there's a very quick route to market for them to bring that gas into Trinidad, into probably the same hibiscus platform the Dragon would come into, and into the Trinidad network. So that's obviously would allow a project like that to move faster than if the market of gas wasn't available. But it's not something that's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take a while, and we just have to wait to hear more details from the Grenada side, about what the license conditions are, who is going to develop it, and all of that information, and what the reserves are like. We have no indication of that yet.
And those were, Dr. Driver, those were two of our concerns this morning. The fact that we haven't been hearing about this particular field, and also the fact that it may require, although Dr. Persad said no, that it may require going through the Venezuelan waters. And you mentioned just now...
No, it wouldn't require going through the Venezuelan waters. I don't know quite where that came from. The Grenada, there's a maritime boundary between Grenada and Trinidad, and it wouldn't need to go through Venezuela.
That's debunked. Right.
Yeah, I think that's just a factual statement. You would not have to put a pipeline through Venezuelan waters to bring that natural gas from there to the Trinidad network.
Okay. So but you did mention just now that it will have to connect to the same pipeline that's bringing the gas from Dragon. Is that what you said just now too?
It brings to the same platform in Trinidad waters as the Dragon field would have brought into that same platform, the hibiscus platform off Trinidad's north coast.
Right. That is what was not clear. Thanks for clearing that up. Yeah.
In terms of the natural gas supplementation that's coming on in the next couple of years, I don't know how much is coming on in 2026 and 2027, but I know there is some sort of gas coming into the country at that point.
Yes.
How much relief is that going to give us?
Well, between now and 2027, there are fields coming into production. There's the SIP field, which is coming on at the moment. The Mento field, which is going to be coming in later this year. You have a coconut project, ginger projects. There are projects which are bringing natural gas in. There's reworking existing fields, so there is potential for new gas to come. But remember, you're always fighting against the natural decline of the existing gas fields. The analogy I always use is that we're trying to run up a down escalator. So that's why having to move quickly is so important, because if you stop and you stand still, you go further back down, and you've got to run even faster to catch back up again. So with the fields which we've got coming on over the next 2 years, those are basically what will help us hopefully stay more or less in place and not go too much further down. Then there is the big field, the Manatee field, which comes on in 2027. That is going to take us a bit further up the escalator. Not back to where we were in 2010, not back to 4 BCF a day, but take us a little bit further up. So that the Manatee field is the big one, which is going to come into production in 2027. That will make a sort of a material difference. But we need a constant stream of those sort of projects coming in. The big opportunity one is the Calypso project, which is in the deep waters between Tobago and Barbados. Major project, and that could really turn around the production profile in the country. Very expensive to develop, very technically challenging. It can be done, but it's a technically challenging field. There's been no investment decision yet taken for that field. That's the one which is currently licensed to Woodside, the Australian operator, who were operating the Angostura development, which they've recently in process of selling on to Perenco, the company who've been working in teak salmon and pui, very experienced company at dealing with old resources. So Woodside have sold that on to Perenco. But then there's this deep water field between Tobago and Barbados that has could make a material difference. It'd be good to put some focus there, to bring that into have an investment decision taken there. So
I know that the issue of the gas and the fall in gas production affects dramatically our downstream industries,
of course,
like ammonia, methanol, urea.
Yeah.
And of course, I think Proman would be big on methanol.
Yes.
In terms of the methanol production. And of course, it's all connected to the decarbonization efforts across the planet because of climate change, etc. And I know Proman is big on, I believe they are big on that being an alternative fuel for aviation and bunkering and stuff like that. How much are these companies worried? I don't know if you have a sense of it, because I assume they're part of the energy chamber. How worried are they about the gas situation in Trinidad and Tobago, or are they confident that we will navigate?
Well, I think so. Those are not two either or situations. You can be nervous about a thing and still confident you can get your way through it. So I think is how I would paint it. Obviously, it's a big challenge for everybody. The gas supply situation. Petrochemical plants we have some which have been taken offline, and so that's an asset which is not then producing. So it does not producing for the company or for the producing revenue for the country. Obviously, Train 1 at Atlantic is offline now, and then even the plants who are in production are operating below capacity, which obviously impacts their profitability, which means then less tax for the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And also the ability to plan long term. These investments in decarbonisation, these are not investments where the return is within 2 years, which is what the current sort of gas supply contracts are because of the challenges we have with the gas supply. So the downstream plants are very, very aware, very conscious, very concerned about the upstream gas supply situation. I think that there's a lot of work which has been gone on over the last few years within the industry, with the chamber playing a major role in that to ensure that there's good dialogue between all the players in that value chain, because the downstream companies need the upstream companies to supply them with gas. But if the downstream companies all close down, the upstream producers of gas have no market to sell to, so they also can't continue. So it's a process where all the players in that value chain need each other, and they are, therefore there's a collective objective to ensure we have a resilient sector, and that comes through collaboration. So the energy chamber is all about collaboration to build that resilience.
Yeah. Dr. Driver, we just needed to break for a quick news update, and then I wanted to come back. We wanted to come back to continue the conversation, taking it, of course, to Guyana and Suriname, and whether Trinidad can position itself as a regional hub and logistics hub for the whole issue of oil and gas in this part of the world.
Sure,
So we can have
love to have that conversation.
All right, so we'll have that conversation when we come back. Of course, it's just 8 a.m. on the dot, and we have to break for our 8 a.m. news update.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
This is your news update. I am Amanda Mitchell with New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. Prime Minister Krishna Persad Bissessar's new cabinet faces immediate infrastructure challenges as Whitehall, the official Prime Minister's office, has been deemed unsuitable for occupation. Public Utilities Minister Barry Padarath revealed that the facility suffers from significant mold issues, making it non-functional for government operations. The Urban Development Company of Trinidad and Tobago indicated that staff will be relocated soon as a contractor for the remedial works has been selected. Arima MP Penelope Beckles-Robinson will be sworn in as Trinidad and Tobago's new opposition leader today at 3 p.m. at President's House in St. Anne's. In a radio interview, Beckles-Robinson stated her 6 senatorial picks would reflect a balance of experience and youth, potentially including Tobagonians and former PNM candidates who were unsuccessful in the April 28th general election. Her appointment received unanimous backing from the PNM at a special General Council meeting last week. A potential natural gas deal between Grenada and Trinidad and Tobago has sparked debate between current and former government officials. Prime Minister Persad Bissessar announced that newly appointed Energy Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal will be sent to Grenada to explore potential resources. However, former Prime Minister and Energy Minister Stuart Young has cautioned against premature decisions, noting that previous explorations by Russia-based Global Petroleum Group in Grenada's waters yielded no commercial quantities of gas.
2018, the NGC went and signed a commercial arrangement with a company called Global Petroleum Group, which was, I believe, a Russian-based company. We negotiated at the time a commercial term sheet for any gas reserves that were found, not gas reserves, any gas that would be produced. So actually arranged and negotiated commercial terms. However, the facts are that this one well was drilled in a field called Nutmeg. That one exploration well, unfortunately, had to be abandoned and has been capped. The fact that since 2018 to now, there has been no progress on this and that there are no proven reserves with one well being drilled certainly means that it is very, very far from any commercialization. Because first of all, there are no proven reserves at this stage.
Young expressed concern over Persad Bissessar's declaration that the Dragon gas deal with Venezuela is dead, describing her comments as irresponsible given the lack of consultation or review of existing documentation. Housing Minister Dr. David Lee has acknowledged the overwhelming demand for housing on his first day in office. He told media that requests are already outpacing current capacity, stating the demand outstrips the supply. Minister Lee indicated he will be looking at revitalizing HDC properties that residents claim have been neglected, while working with the housing team to deliver on manifesto promises. You are listening to news on New Era TT Radio. In regional news, Caribbean Airlines passengers will soon enjoy wireless in-flight entertainment on board the carrier's ATR fleet and its Boeing 737-800NG. The service, called Caribbean View, will offer access to movies, TV shows, music, games, and a moving map via passengers' personal devices, though it won't provide external internet access. This follows Caribbean Airlines' new partnership with Scotland-based Blue Box Aviation Systems. CEO Garvin Madeira noted that with ATR aircraft now flying more regional routes, it was the right time to introduce consistent in-flight entertainment across the fleet. In international news, the Trump administration has announced plans to pay immigrants in the United States illegally who voluntarily return to their home country $1,000 while also covering travel assistance. The Department of Homeland Security stated that those using the CBP Home app to declare their intention to return home will be deprioritized for detention and removal. Secretary Kristi Noem said, "Self-deportation is the best, safest, and most cost-effective way to leave the United States to avoid arrest." This initiative comes as the administration pushes forward with its mass deportation agenda while seeking increased resources for immigration and customs enforcement. That concludes your news update for today. I'm Amanda Mitchell for New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. The Breakfast Show with Wendell, Richard, and Sir Charles continues right after this short break.
That was news now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Well, thank you so much, Amanda.
All right.
Thank you for staying with us, Dr. Driver.
Yeah, thanks so much for staying with us. So Dr. Driver, to continue the conversation, the issue of Trinidad and Tobago being a logistics hub and energy hub for what is taking place, well, potentially in Grenada, and of course, certainly in Guyana and Suriname. What's the possibility of that happening?
Well, I mean, essentially, that has been the case, for many years. That we have been an important hub for activity obviously when Grenada, when the wells were being drilled back in 2017, 2018, Suriname, continued to support exploration activity there. In Guyana, in the early days, a lot was done out of Trinidad for Guyana. But then obviously, as Guyana developed this massive resource that they built a lot more capacity in country. So, quite logically, more is done in Guyana than it had been during the exploration phase. But there's still a lot of work which is staged out of Trinidad for work in Guyana, Suriname, and hopefully in the future in Grenada. That is, I think, one of the key things that Trinidad needs to be positioning itself to do is that logistical hub. We have a great natural harbor in the Gulf of Paria. So you do see vessels coming into Trinidad to be serviced, to then go and work in Guyana and Suriname and elsewhere. And I think that is a huge business opportunity for the country to develop ourselves really as that maritime hub. There are things we need to be doing to really grab hold of that opportunity. And it's the ease of doing business things, which we often talk about. So the ease of equipment coming in and out of the country, the ability of skilled people to move, between Trinidad, Guyana, Suriname, Grenada, Barbados, and across Caricom. Those are all things we should be working on. In fact, and are working on very actively in the chamber. We have a big emphasis particularly on the people side. And the ability of people to move, and we need to have the skills systems in place where skilled workers can move between those countries.
So, Dr. Driver, where did this talk come from of the same gas coming through? I think also from Guyana and Suriname, passing through the same Venezuelan waters. Where did that come from? Because Dr. Persad had said that's not so. It doesn't have to.
Okay. So I think I mentioned earlier about Grenada. So there's an interesting Grenada that would not have to come through Venezuelan waters. From Guyana or Suriname, I mean, it depends on the route you put the pipeline. I think that the pipeline would probably have to run through Venezuelan waters. I think technically, possibly you can do it, not through Venezuelan waters. I think that might make it a lot more expensive. I don't know the details of that. That's an engineering issue which has to be resolved, and I think we're a long way from making any decisions around that. There is obviously a massive resource available in Guyana and in Suriname, a gas resource, which is being proved up, and Guyana has very active plans to develop that gas industry. And they're looking at various options, and I think Trinidad is one of the options that they're looking at. And those are not things where it's one or the other. Those are things where you could because of the size of the resource that they have in Guyana, it could be all of the above. Doesn't have to be one. One of those the options, and those options are develop LNG facility in Guyana, develop the petrochemical sector in Guyana, export natural gas to change it into electricity and put that into the Brazilian network, or bring natural gas by pipeline to Trinidad. Those are all options. They all have their challenges, and they all have their pros. And what we need is deep negotiation, conversation with the government of Guyana, and also the operating companies in Guyana, in Exxon, in particular, who are the license holders for that field. Fields, a huge, massive block, and there's a lot of natural gas available. There's also a lot of natural gas available in Suriname. Really, what the situation is that the fields which have been found closer to Suriname, on the Guyana side, but closer to the Suriname border, tend to have more natural gas, and the fields in Suriname have more natural gas. So it's a combination of oil and natural gas. So those companies will want to develop those natural gas resources as well. And there's no existing market for natural gas, or no large market for natural gas in Guyana or Suriname. So you either have to develop that market like we did in Trinidad, but that takes a long time, or you have to find an export market. That can be through LNG, but if it goes into LNG or go into international markets, or it could be via pipeline, and that obviously the nearest market where there's a significant demand for natural gas to Guyana and Suriname is Trinidad.
Why is it that conversation, because we talk about negotiations, we know that, for example, our two Caricom partners, Guyana and Suriname, definitely have the gas. Why isn't that mobilized more in terms of obviously making Trinidad and Tobago the point at which those negotiations and the monetization of the infrastructure towards Trinidad? Why is that still, as lay people not in the energy sector, it seems as if it's still to be discussed, and it's still not certain that Suriname and Ghana will when they should, because we are Caricom partners.
Well, okay, so I think you need to just dial that back a little bit, because there have been a lot of conversations that have taken place, with the governments in both countries. I mean, particularly in the case of Suriname, there has been a working group. We have been part of one of the working groups on skills transfer. There's a very, very close relationship with the state oil company in Suriname and the energy chamber in Trinidad. They are actually members of our chamber, and we've had numerous backwards and forwards visits between Suriname and Trinidad with Thackwray, and there've been numerous backwards and forwards visits with Guyana. There's a lot of Trinidadian companies working in Guyana, and there's a very close relationship within the private sector between Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago. So those are all things which are active. But then, why has this not moved faster? These are huge, massive, multi-billion-dollar projects where we are dealing with international companies who have their own priorities. Trinidad is just one option out of many options. The companies like Total in Suriname and Exxon in Guyana will have their own priorities and their own views of what they want to do. So these are things which don't happen overnight. They are looking at all of the various options to maximize their return to those resources. And I also just want to put on the table, there's no obligation that exists on Guyana or Suriname to supply gas to Trinidad.
Yeah,
that's
no,
not.
I get that. I get that. There is none.
Mm-hmm.
But as Caricom partners, there should be. But I get it. I
don't say that. Trinidad didn't feel that we didn't have an obligation to supply natural gas when we had an excess of it to other countries. We looked at it as a commercial venture. The government of Guyana's and the government of Suriname, what they need to be doing is using those resources best possible for the citizens of Guyana and the citizens of Suriname. Now, if we can get a situation in which there is alignment where it's good for them and it's good for us, well, then that's the win-win, which we need to be exploring.
Yeah. I get that. And I know we're close to closing of the interview because you're right on 8:15. I just wanted to touch, maybe you can give us like a minute in talking about renewable energy, because that's obviously going to be part of the landscape in Trinidad and Tobago moving forward.
Yes.
I know KBR had done a report a couple of years ago and suggested our best approach was offshore wind and solar, rather than green hydrogen, which I think was talked about at some point. There was a green hydrogen talk with regard to the Trinidad and Tobago landscape.
So let me just explain that a little bit, because the studies which have been done is exactly about green hydrogen, but you need the renewable energy to produce the green hydrogen. So you need the wind power or solar, to produce green electrons, which you then use to split water, the hydrogen from water, which you then put into your ammonia production. So that is what Trinidad offers, is a massive market for green hydrogen, and that means that you can then bring renewable energy in to supply green hydrogen to that ammonia industry, which then gives you the international market for ammonia. So the renewables and the petrochemical sector, renewables and natural gas in Trinidad, these are all linked things. They're not two different things. We have to look at this as one energy ecosystem. So if we bring in renewable energy to produce electricity for consumers in Trinidad, that means we're using less natural gas to produce electricity, and therefore that means more natural gas available for the companies in Point Lisas, and more exports, more US dollars to be earned. So we shouldn't think of these things as separate and apart, or even in opposition to each other. In fact, these are things which we need to be all doing all of these things together. So one big message I have: we've got to always think so it's renewables and gas. Everything. It's Grenada and Guyana. It's not or. We need to stop thinking about it's either one or the other. It's all of those things. It's domestic gas and imported gas. So
I get you.
My big message is,
final question, Dr. Driver, are you optimistic about the energy future?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very optimistic about Trinidad and Tobago's energy future. We have a strong world-class energy sector. It has challenges. We've been through some challenging periods. The last 10 years since the downturn in prices in 2015 have been challenging for a lot of countries in the global energy industry. It's been challenging in Trinidad, but I see a very clear pathway through that. We've just got to keep focused on bringing natural gas resources into production. Focus on our domestic resources, which we have there. We just need to move fast. So the message there is about doing things really quickly. We've got to move at pace. We've got to remove the bottlenecks which exist in the current approvals processes. We have got to just make decisions quickly. Look at the opportunities to import natural gas as well from any of our neighboring countries, all of them. As I say, it's not an or, it's an and then look at the decarbonization, bring in renewable energy, bigger focus on energy efficiency. So those are all things we need to be doing. But I'm very confident about the future because we have the people. Trinidad has a really well-developed, skilled, knowledgeable energy industry based upon Trinidad and Tobago citizens who know the sector well, and we can find our way through any of the issues that we're facing.
All right, great. Well, thank you, Dr. Drivers, for speaking with us this morning. We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
My pleasure.
Of course, we'll be we're going to come back to you at some point again, because energies are always going to be an ongoing conversation with Trinidad and Tobago landscape. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Dr. Driver. Take care.
Bye.
We'll see you on Carony Swamp one day. Don't worry.
Well, hope you see it at our conference, 2nd of June. It's our Sustainable Energy Conference. It's our big. We'll have two big events for the year. One is sort of Trinidad and Tobago, oil, gas, petrochemical focused, and then we have this Caribbean Sustainable Energy Conference where we're looking at the wider region and everything which is happening, putting Trinidad in that context about this energy transition and sustainable energy. So 2nd of June, hope to perhaps we can get some reporting out of that as well.
All right. Well, Richard will reach out to you after this program and tell you how best to get it on this show.
Okay, fantastic.
All right. Take care. All right, Dr. Driver. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dr. Driver. So, of course, that was a lot of our energy conversation this morning on the breakfast show. And because this is where we wrap it up. So, have a fantastic day. Whatever you do, remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health. And of course, theater is on this weekend, extended by public demand, Married and Mischievous, adults only. And tickets go on sale from today after 12 noon. And of course, tickets are on sale at the Cipriani box office from tomorrow. But all our usual outlets will have tickets today from 12 noon. Get your tickets early because we were packed over the weekend. And of course, you can also purchase online. You can check RSRR Productions Theater on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok for more information.
All right, folks, remember, one life, live it, be at peace. Be at peace. And I'm saying this especially for some of our messengers, people who send messages. Be at peace. Go in peace.
This has been The Breakfast Show.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The Breakfast Show got the vibes turned